So I've really been procrastinating with my video uploading recently. I think it's been like 2 or 3 months since I've actually uploaded one for everyone to see. I've still been making them, I just haven't had time to edit and upload them, so well, it's back. Took me about 2 weeks to get all the parts that I needed, but it's back going down the road. About 2 weeks ago, I was visiting my local Ford dealership, paying for some parts that I needed to have ordered for a friend, and I pulled out of the dealership, and the axle that was underneath it decided that it didn't want to move me down the road anymore. So I built another one. Pretty much same specs, except this one has the 10-inch brakes and it's an 8.8. So it's going to be a little bit stronger. It's still a 28 spline axle, but the truck doesn't weigh much, and my axle shafts weren't the weak point, as became pretty apparent since my pinion gear was destroyed. So yeah, I've got to buy a cover for it because this plastic deal really isn't doing it for me. Through my 500-mile break-in period, went and dumped the fluid out of it, and discovered that there were chunks of gear teeth that were in the bottom of it, and it appeared that every single tooth on my pinion gear had delaminated. Like, the surface of the gear just came off. It was like paper thin on the drive side and the coast side, and I really don't understand why. And so those were Richmond gears, and I went and picked up a set of Yukons about a week ago, and I installed those this past weekend, and they have no noise, and it drives down the road a lot nicer. So I'm pretty happy with the outcome of the second time around. Now, in the first time around, I had a perfect pattern, I had a perfect adjustment, perfect everything, and I still got this. The pattern was perfect and round and centered between the top and the bottom and the heel and the toe of the gear, and it was still messed up. So I don't know, but I've got to scrape some stickers off, one being that one and the other one being that solid sticker. I ended up buying one of the nice cast iron solid covers. If you have an 8.8, do not buy one. They are about 3/8 to 1/2 of an inch too shallow. They will not even clear the ring gear. You can't use them. You can't clearance them enough to even fit. So I was able to sell my old Detroit and my stud grill cover to two separate people. One of them's going to Pennsylvania and one of them's going to Maryland. The pinion gear, and I had actually brought it to work to show it off, but here is some pieces of it. That's pretty much about half of a gear tooth. I mean, there were a whole bunch more pieces pretty similar size that when I took the axle apart to get the parts out, they came out of it. So that's any indication to how big those are. But I mean, the pattern was excellent. Look at that. It's down to the bottom of the tooth, and if you look at the pinion itself, it was centered top to bottom too. I mean, heel to toe. So pretty much the axle was just too small. Just recently picked up this beauty, which I really like. It's one of the Mag High Tech covers, and yeah, I paid way too much for it, but I've always wanted one, so I bought one. And what's nice about it is you don't need to use silicone or a gasket. It has O-rings on everything. It is very well made, and it is made here in the US, in California to be exact. And it was very easy to install. All I had to do is check for flatness and any gouges in the housing and put it on. Some of you may wonder or already know where I do my work. I can tell you it's not in here. I'm going to be doing something with these springs too. If you can see there, you have the factory mount runs here and here. These are the Chevy springs, so they've been extended 6 inches, and I've removed the overload springs for flex, and the axle wrap is horrendous. So what I will be doing soon is I will be making a over-the-top setup that works off of this and goes to here, such as the James Duff track bar setup, to eliminate this problem. I was going to be going with something called a BAM bar. If you Google it, it'll come up. It's kind of a vertical anti-wrap setup, and although I'd love to make it, I don't think that I have the room for it, and it's a lot more fabrication than I'm really looking at doing right now, seeing as how all of the welding that has been done on this is done by a friend of mine. I wire stuff for him and help him with engine swaps, and he can melt metal together like no other, so he's the one that does all my welding. Went and got new wheels. They're 15 by 10s and they don't have that beadlock on them. Got them from Summit. They're Bart wheels, and the valve stem is in a really weird spot, but they stick out a little bit more, and I'm in a hole over there. That's why the back tire looks funny. But if you look down, half the tire sticks out about there. So I've got some rubber, and I'm going to be making flares that extend from probably about there all the way over the top to about there. I'll make them look nice and everything, because what these throw up during the winter ends up on the cab and on the windshield and everything like that. So that's going to be in process pretty soon, and I think I'm probably going to make some to go up here too, all out of rubber. So yeah, these fenders are junk. These are getting thrown away in the spring, but it's too close to winter to do any body work to this, so might as well let the rusty ones keep rusting, and maybe I'll have a hole there when I get around to putting the doors on. I've been told by people that I have too much stuff inside the cab as far as gauges and switches and wires and different things that I've added and all that. Well, I figured I'd let you see for yourself, so you can make your own determination. Yep, I've got those, and they are hose clamped to the steering column. I have a tack, a diff temp gauge, and for those of you wondering why, it is because I have blown up a few differentials, and I figured, why not put one in? It's not hooked up yet. I actually just put it there today, and it'll be hooked up very soon. Vacuum gauge, just to kind of help me with my fuel mileage. And then, of course, your oil pressure, voltage, and temperature. And the only factory gauge, other than the speedometer, is that one right there. And actually, it uses a solid-state voltage regulator, which was made for me by a friend of mine to eliminate the two little points that come together and come apart. So it works a lot better than it ever did from the factory, because it's regulated at the voltage it's supposed to have. And of course you need one of those. Switches. This is air horn. There's a little bit left, maybe like 5 pounds. and maybe you can hear it hissing. This turns the compressor on, enables the inside winch control, which is here, lights, top, front, and the ones in the back, gauge for the compressor. I have a hand throttle right here, made out of bicycle brake parts, CB. Everyone needs a CB. It's a nice Galaxy one that's been peaked and tuned and has blue LEDs in the meter and in your channel selector, and actually everywhere else that it would have LED. Stereo with Bluetooth, external mic right there. Amps are behind the seat that I'm sitting in. 6.5-inch speakers in the doors. Power windows and locks I added. They're out of a 88 Bronco 2. Still work great. 5 1/4 in the dash. Only supposed to have 4s. And auto dimming mirror, which is actually disappearing. This one has a compass. The auto dimming doesn't work. I don't know if you can see that little bubble right up there. This auto dimming mirror does not work. So I decided, since I wanted to still have the lights there, that I'm putting an Explorer overhead console, which I had to cut down actually because I only have about 8 inches between the sunroof and the front edge of the windshield. And I'm going to be installing this auto dimming mirror. So, and of course your external mic, external speaker for the CB. And I will have a PA speaker soon enough once I get around to buying one. Goodbye. A short little video about my fat dog. Sump bump. He's not bright. He's a good boy. Right, Hunter? Where's Hunter? There he is.